Tales of the American Empire has described the empire's involvement in the illegal narcotics trade for 2 centuries. See the video link below and read the classic 1991 book, The Politics of Heroin, CIA Complicity in the Global Drug Trade. The end of the Vietnam War was a major blow to the opium trade, as the American CIA lost access to opium producers in Laos. In addition, cocaine became very popular in the 1970s and reduced the demand for opium. Most cocaine was grown in Bolivia and Colombia, while transport and distribution were monopolized by 2 powerful Colombian cartels. The CIA had established political influence in Latin America during World War II and used this to take control of the profitable cocaine trade. The first step was called Operation Watchtower, to establish a secret air corridor from southern Colombia to Panama. This would not be easy, as the powerful Colombian cocaine cartels controlled the Colombian government and military. They monitored air and sea routes and violently disposed of new competitors. Regional air traffic controllers and officers in the Colombian military were paid to report suspicious flights. The CIA plan to evade the cartels was to fly cocaine out of southern Colombia at very low levels along a remote corridor to avoid people and radar. Navigation presented a huge problem because low-flying aircraft lose contact with navigation beacons and pilots become lost. The solution was to erect small towers with navigation beacons along the route so aircraft could avoid radar detection all the way to Panama. Plans were developed in 1976 by U.S. Air Force personnel at the Defense Intelligence Agency. The towers were built and the beacons emplaced covertly in 1977 by U.S. Army Special Forces. The U.S. military controlled the Panama Canal Zone to include 2 air bases. Albrook Air Base was selected as the hub for this operation. The CIA and American Special Forces based there could ensure airfield secrecy and cooperation, as drug aircraft arriving from Colombia offloaded cocaine that was later flown to the United States on larger aircraft. Dozens of Panamanians worked at Albrook, to include the air traffic control towers. They would notice odd activity and report it to their government. The CIA solved this problem by paying the head of Panamanian intelligence, Colonel Manuel Noriega, over $100,000 a year. Noriega kept Panamanians quiet, and Operation Watchtower was a success at Albrook for years.
True. He is the most decorated Green Beret commander in Vietnam history. He is also a former lieutenant colonel in the Army Special Forces. He also served as an intelligence officer in South and Central America during the same time that Manuel Noriega was the president of that country. His name is Bo Greitz. He joins us now here in the studio.
When I commanded Special Forces in Latin America in 1976, George Bush was head of the CIA. We were running an Operation Watchtower down there then. The United States Army had low-level navigation radios from Bogota, Colombia, Turbo, Colombia, and Albrook Army Airfield. CIA contract aircraft at night flying below 500 feet would push them underneath the radar mask, and it was deadly. That's why we had to have the radio towers, came through the Darien Mountains, and they were carrying cocaine. They made more than 1 flight a night. Manuel Noriega was the CIA's front man. They received the cocaine on an Army airfield where there was no customs. The money was laundered in the banks in Panama, and the cocaine flooded into the United States.
Various researchers indicate different methods were used to fly this cocaine to the United States. Some report that U.S. military aircraft were used, or private aircraft that were provided secret codes to transmit, instructing U.S. air defense to ignore their flight. Older American military aircraft were used, like the C-123 that had been retired and sold, but were still in service in the United States Air Force. Other accounts claim drug aircraft flew in the shadow of legitimate aircraft flying from Albrook to the United States, flying directly behind and underneath to evade radar. Some accounts claim that additional navigation beacons were in place to allow very low-level flights all the way to the United States. Since this smuggling took place over many years, All these methods may have been used. Dozens of people took part in Operation Watchtower, and stories spread throughout the military intelligence community and Panama. News stories about this smuggling operation began to appear in the press, and the U.S. Congress took an interest. Those running the smuggling operation were worried and angry. Some researchers say the Israeli Mossad Secret Service was actively involved in the cocaine trade. Former senior Mossad operative Michael Harai had retired to Panama and somehow became a close advisor to General Noriega. He is pictured here with Noriega, who is wearing an Israeli parachute badge that he earned during a trip to Israel. American partners in this operation were notorious retired CIA officers Ted Shackley, Edwin Wilson, and Frank Turpill. They were known to assassinate anyone who threatened their secret operations. U.S. Army Colonel Edward Cutolo of the 10th Special Forces commanded the soldiers who emplaced the towers and beacons for Operation Watchtower. He became concerned for his safety and legal prosecution, so prepared a 15-page legal affidavit about Operation Watchtower, which he sent to close friends and sought their advice. The affidavit is linked below. Cutolo specifically cited Israel's Harai as a key figure in the operation and wrote that former CIA Director George Bush and other high-ranking U.S. government figures had gone to great lengths to keep the activity secret. Colonel Cutolo died 2 months after distributing his affidavit in a traffic accident. Links below provide stories on other killings of Special Forces soldiers related to Watchtower. These deaths may have been coincidental, but were suspicious. Cutolo's affidavit was made public after his death and is the only hard evidence of what happened, along with congressional testimony by former U.S. Navy Commander Al Martin, who wrote a book, The Conspirators, in 1999, that can be read online. See the link below. General Noriega in Panama became arrogant and demanded much larger payments for the CIA's transit flights. As a result, drug flights were moved to the Hull Ranch in Costa Rica. This smuggling was later exposed in the American press, leading to the Iran-Contra scandal. An angry Noriega began his own drug smuggling operation and threatened to blackmail senior American officials who protested. This resulted in a U.S. military invasion of Panama in 1989, and Noriega was imprisoned. Colombia's biggest drug lord, Pablo Escobar, also proved too dangerous to deal with and was killed in 1993. These events will be discussed in future tales of the American Empire.